Welcome into the show today. Thank you for making this podcast a part of your day. It's been a little while since I've done one of these. Typically, I do Monday through Saturday. Missed Monday, missed Saturday. I've been sick for the last 3 weeks, and you can still hear it in my voice. I'm doing my best not to cough right now. If you're watching on YouTube or listening somewhere else, hit that subscribe button wherever you're making this podcast a part of your day. I appreciate you doing that. Okay, so the Minnesota Vikings are and have a lot of people in Florida right now. That's where all the insiders are because of the NFL ownership meetings. And the juiciest topic that has been discussed all offseason has been about the Minnesota Vikings quarterback situation. Whether that be Sam Darnold, McCarthy, Rodgers, Daniel Jones. The quarterback position is the most important position, you could argue, in any sport at any level. There's nothing as important as the quarterback. You can take a team that is one of the worst teams in the league, you put a good quarterback on the roster, and all of a sudden they can become legitimate contenders within their division. So Kevin O'Connell was asked by Alec Lewis on the situation with Aaron Rodgers and JJ McCarthy. And here's what O'Connell had to say. Quote, "Two things can be true at the same time. We took JJ 10th in the draft last year after a very extensive evaluation process. A lot of things we hoped to see from him we saw in a short amount of time. Unfortunately, he got injured. We tried to maximize as much as we could his redshirt year while still making sure we were getting Sam Darnold and our other quarterbacks ready to play. I think JJ was able to take some things out of that and be ready to go for the spring. The second part of that can be true is Aaron Rodgers is a 4-time NFL MVP and somebody who we've all had so much respect for competing against him. And he happened to be at a point in time in his career where he was free to have some real dialogue about what future may look like. And we happened to be one of those teams he reached out to. I have had a personal relationship with him going back to my playing days. But yeah, so two things can be true. Look, you guys know near and dear to my heart is the quarterback developmental process. I'm going to take a very, very personal role with JJ amongst Josh and Wes and Jordan and all the guys we're going to have working with him. But I do feel very strongly about where he's at right now based upon the information we have, the evaluation process. The time we've had with him, I feel very good about projecting a really positive year for JJ, and now we've got to go do work and do it. Talking about it in March and April doesn't do a whole lot. So that is the most extensive answer we've heard from anybody within that Vikings organization. This is the most definitive. One second. This is the most This is the most defined answer we've seen from anyone within the Vikings organization. The Vikings have been so open to Rodgers joining the organization because they have not shut it down. Kevin O'Connell, in this statement, is shutting down Aaron Rodgers to the Vikings rumors. However, there is one caveat that I said last week that would open the doors to Aaron Rodgers joining the Vikings. And the one caveat is is either McCarthy plays so bad for so long in spring and in training camp that the Vikings are forced to do something about it. And they decide, hey, I guess we do need to bring in Aaron Rodgers because McCarthy is not the guy that we anticipated him to be as the 10th overall pick and coming after the injury. He's going to need more time. So that's option number one. Option number two, and the most likely option out of the two options, I would say that this has a higher chance of happening than option one. I think JJ McCarthy can play. Option two is McCarthy goes down with an injury. And the Vikings are forced to bring in Aaron Rodgers because he has interest in the Vikings. And he would be easily the best available quarterback to play on a Vikings organization that is Super Bowl ready with a offensive line, defensive line, wide receivers, and tight end, and a secondary that's improving. So what I read from O'Connell is that McCarthy is QB1, and he slammed Aaron Rodgers rumors. Kwesi, in his press conference last week, kept the door open. He did. He was asked about Rodgers and McCarthy, and he could have said over and over and over again, just to really press into it. He could have said, yeah, we looked into it, but we're done. The conversation's over. He didn't say that. He kept the door open. And the reason why he kept the door open is because of the two options I explained earlier. McCarthy could look really, 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 really bad. And two, McCarthy could get injured, which would force the Vikings to sign Aaron Rodgers. And that's what Aaron Rodgers is waiting for. He's waiting for one of those two options to happen. But Kwesi goes, yeah, you can never say anything's 100% in our business. You sure as hell can. You could have slammed that rumor, ended all questions, but the way he answered it is in classic Vikings organization style, where they don't really give the media anything. But in their attempt to give the media nothing, they actually gave the media a lot of speculative stories that they could run with, that Pat McAfee and the ESPN talking heads will take and listen to and post on their shows and say Aaron Rodgers to the Vikings is still a possibility. I saw it. AJ Hawk on Pat McAfee's show said it. He said the Vikings did not close the door on Aaron Rodgers. And he didn't. This is the most clear statement from anybody within the Vikings organization. And my initial instinct is, it's about time. It's about time. I never thought Rodgers would sign with the Vikings. But the longer the Vikings played this out and the longer that they went without slamming the door shut, it's like, what are you waiting for? Let's clear up any questions about McCarthy and build up his confidence and spill out any rumors that are being discussed about Aaron Rodgers signing with the organization. Sure, there's a side of me that says, yeah, he's coming off an injury with 300 days off without any physical reps. It's all true. Sure, what has McCarthy done to earn the QB1 spot in the NFL? Really nothing, besides one training camp and one preseason game, which was almost a year ago. So there's a side of me that says, hey, I get it. McCarthy hasn't proven himself, and that's what the Vikings are saying because they offered Darnold and Daniel Jones, and they had long discussions about Aaron Rodgers. But at the same time, there's got to be some give and take. How long are you going to let these rumors surface for? Because Darnold left, Daniel Jones left, and these Rodgers rumors are not going to end until someone within that Vikings organization slams the door shut. And that can't be good for McCarthy's development either. That can't be good for the psyche of McCarthy, regardless of what Kevin O'Connell tells him. He's been very open about keeping JJ McCarthy in the loop and having conversations with him. He says, I do see McCarthy every day throughout the week and thought it was important that he was hearing it from me. I get it. But, and there's probably a trust factor with McCarthy and the coach. However, I'm sure there's still a little doubt in your head when the coach and the organization and the rumors and the NFL media and the insiders are all reporting that the Vikings are having intensive talks about whether or not they should bring in Aaron Rodgers. It's got to mess with you a little bit. McCarthy, if I don't know anything, I know this. McCarthy is a human. He's a human being. And human beings have doubts. And regardless of what people say or do, actions speak louder than words. And the Vikings having discussions about Rodgers coming into the organization has got to mess with McCarthy a little bit. So it's about time that someone within the Vikings organization has said, hey, the only chance that Rodgers is a Viking is if McCarthy plays really poor in camp or if McCarthy gets injured. You read in between the lines, and Kevin O'Connell is slamming the door shut on Aaron Rodgers being a member of the Vikings. So that's the big story today. I'm sure there will be more quotes and more things to talk about because it's the NFL ownership meeting and lots of stories and lots of information comes out because all the insiders are in Florida right now. Thank you for watching this episode, for making this podcast a part of your day. Hit that subscribe button. I'm back, and I'm almost 100%. So podcasts will be coming out and flowing like honey. And the woman will be flocking. What's that Dumb and Dumber quote? Dumb and Dumber quote. Dumb and Dumber quote. Woman will be flocking. Let's see here. I'm pulling it up. Oh, here we go. Someplace warm. A place where the beer flows like a wine. Where beautiful women instinctively flock like the salmon of Capistrano. Thank you for watching this episode. Everyone have a great day. And hit that subscribe button so this podcast shows up in your feed every day.